Hey everyone, so tonight I'm going to make a chicken, broccoli, and rice casserole. Quick weeknight meal. The most time consuming is just going to be the prep work, and actually I had broccoli in the refrigerator I needed to use, but you could easily use frozen broccoli. In fact, that's what this recipe calls for, is broccoli florets. So what we're going to do, I already have the oven preheated to 425. In this bowl, this is our classic batter bowl. I have a cup of chicken broth. I'm going to add 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And I'm going to alter this a little bit. This is a trick you can do. I should have brought my trash can over here. How many of us have picky eaters in our family? Or rather, we just don't all like the same things, I guess I should say. So I'm going to use my cream of mushroom soup and I'm going to use my little small mini scraper. Love this thing because it fits really good into soup mix cans. We're going to put this in here. So anyway, getting back to, in my family, I have one that doesn't like vegetables. I have the other one that likes the vegetables and doesn't like the meat. And then there's me. I'll eat all that. So I'm going to kind of alter the way this recipe calls. It actually says to just dump all this in the pan, stir it up, and put your put your foil on it and put it in the oven. But I'm going to separate it out a little bit. And I wanted to show you that because I know I'm not the only one out here who has a lot of picky eaters. So here we have our cream of mushroom soup and our chicken broth. We're gonna add, oops, I forgot to get the Dijon mustard. But I think before I do that, I'm going to, that's a tablespoon. Tonight I've got my my clear tablespoons, the Easy Read tablespoons and measuring cup. So this is the tablespoon one. I'm gonna, before I do that though, because I need it for the rub, this calls for lemon pepper. I'm gonna use lemon garlic instead because I like garlic, and well, I had it on hand. I've got lemon pepper too, but this is the one I'm using. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon of that. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of our Dijon mustard. Looks like I'm going to be buying new Dijon mustard before long. It's spitting at me. Feels like there's still some in there though. Okay. We're going to do a cup of, I'm using the whole grain brown rice, but you just want to make sure it's the instant pre-cut kind. If you want to use white, that's fine. I thought we could at least try to be a little bit healthier and use the brown. Really don't matter by the time it's cooked with all this stuff. And that's just regular Food Line brand, nothing fancy. Sit back to the side. Stir that together. And I'm going to end up putting this in my rectangular baker, but for right now I'm going to finish mixing all my ingredients together, and then I'll tell you about that. Okay, the cheese. So this recipe calls for mozzarella cheese, and that's what I'm going to use because I usually try to keep things pretty close to the way a recipe calls the first time I try it. Then after that I'll alter it. That is actually our little chip and bag slicer. So on the one side it's a clip, and then on this side there's a little blade in here that you can push and slide along. I use it a lot for cake mixes, cookie mixes. You just saw me use it to open the cheese here. I didn't slide it all the way across, but we need 2 cups of that, so I'm thinking half of this block will be good. My recipe's gonna go away there. So this is the adjustable double grater. It says to do the cheese with the coarse grate. This one does a fine grate and a coarser grate. And I actually think, and I always leave this on because this is pretty sharp, so you don't want to end up cutting yourself. Slide this on here. And that really just sits right in there. That might be too wide. And I almost think to use that, you have to hold it to get it started a little bit. And then once it gets down in there, because the cheese is hanging out of this, then you can put that plastic piece on. Most times, more often than not, because I like to get things done quickly, I just don't even use it. And I could have used my prep board tonight, but instead I'm using the flexible mat again because I'm gonna dice up my chicken, and I wanted that to be on a surface that could be movable. And the same thing for the cheese.
You're getting awful close there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Feel like taking me to emergency room.
Oops.
Maybe that thing will work now.
Huh? Yeah, it would be a good time for it to work now that I got it further down there. Okay. So anyway, that's the coarse adjustable grater. So I'm just gonna pick up all these pieces here. And I think this one bigger piece that I left, because I was getting pretty close to the bottom, I'm just gonna cut it in some pieces. That looks like coarse pieces to me. Alright, so I'm just gonna dump this in with our mixture here. I'm just gonna sit that right there. I'll put that up in a bit. Alright, so next I'm going to use our red bell pepper, and this is of course one of the things that part of my family isn't going to eat. So I'm probably not going to do the whole pepper like it says, because then it's going to be all this pepper all on, let's see, rake these seeds off here. All this extra pepper on one side. I'll do those 2 pieces. So now I'm going to use our quick slice. And I know a lot of you have seen me use this before. This is one of my favorite go-tos. So I'm just going to put the red bell pepper here. And I'm just going to rock it. And it's going to go down and cut in strips. I'm going to turn that around and put those the other way. I do this with a lot of stuff. I do it with ham to make my own cubed ham for salads. There's a piece that didn't get. This is good also for slicing your mushrooms. You can buy them whole at the store instead of buying them already sliced. Bring them home and slice them yourself. At least they stay fresher a little longer. When you buy them already sliced, you need to be ready to use them pretty well immediately. You buy them whole, I mean, they're still not going to last forever, but they will last a little bit longer. Scoot that to the side there. My broccoli here. I'm just going to do a little bit of it and I'll finish cutting it and put it up in a little bit. And since it actually called for broccoli florets in the frozen bag, I guess these could be left kind of chunky. I had toyed with the idea of putting it in my manual food processor and chopping it up pretty fine, but I decided against that. So I'm just cutting this up a little bit here. Nothing fancy. I did hear my oven beep, so it's already up to temperature and ready to go. Alright, so I am going to sprinkle my red bell pepper on half of this. And that one didn't get cut all the way. Don't know what happened there. And I'm going to put my broccoli florets on this side. I'm just going to empty this on here. Just going to rinse my knife off for a minute here. And the chicken. I have one chicken breast. I have some chicken tenders. I'm just going to cut that chicken breast into tenders. And then I'm going to cut this all into a 1-inch dice. Calls for a pound. I wasn't sure if with my tenders here if I had a pound. So that's why I got out the extra chicken breast. Plus, if I was going to do all meat on the one side, I thought it might be better to have a little extra. And so this piece of chicken breast is actually not completely thawed. And it's probably going to cut better than these chicken tenders. That's another nice little trick. When you go to cut meat, I think if it's partially frozen just a little bit, that helps to hold it together so it doesn't kind of slide against your knife. And this is my coated chef's knife I'm using here. See how that just cuts right through a lot easier since it's partially solid. Hopefully that will still be okay with the cooking time. Okay. So I'm gonna put our chicken over here on this side, a lot of it. Okay. This I'm gonna put over here in the sink. Wash my hands. Then we're going to get back to this. So I'm going to stir this up and just pour that over the top. Then I'm going to put aluminum foil over it, and it will bake, I think it said 35 minutes. I do smell that lemon and the garlic. Could have actually put a little pepper in that since I didn't use lemon pepper. And if you're not a big fan of lemon and think, oh, well, that don't sound good to me at all, you could always substitute any seasoning or rub that you like. Another one that would be good in here would be just a little salt and pepper and poultry seasoning. Our rosemary and herb seasoning would be good. What's that other one? The herbs de Provence would be good. I would add a little salt and pepper maybe with both of those. Okay, so we are going to... This recipe actually calls for cooking it for the 35 minutes and then taking it out and putting your topping on. I'm going to try doing it that way, but I don't really, and then you leave it uncovered with the topping on it. I don't really see why you couldn't go ahead and put the topping on unless it's the fact you want the rice to absorb all that juice before you put the topping on. So, and if you have the newer, that's one of the older rectangular stone bar pans. If you have the newer one, it actually, you can get the tray that goes on top of it. You could always use it with the tray on top instead of messing with the aluminum foil. Okay, so now we're going to make our topping. Let me set that timer. I'm just going to use a little bowl. I could have easily used my batter bowl, but I didn't. Just going to crush up these Ritz crackers here. This is one sleeve of Ritz crackers that I've put into a zip bag. And I guess how fine you make the crackers is totally up to you. If you didn't have Ritz crackers, the Ritz crackers are going to give it a nice buttery texture. But if you didn't have that, you could also use like Pepperidge Farm stuffing mix. I mean, you could use saltine crackers. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter to it. So this is just going to be more buttery. But I think that looks pretty good. put that in there. Add my 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And this is our 1 cup prep bowl. It comes with a little lid. I didn't get the lid out because I just used it to melt our butter. And then with this, we're also gonna add the lemon garlic seasoning, but we're only gonna do a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon. Again, you could use the lemon pepper, you could use any seasoning you like. I'm just gonna use this to mix it up so I don't make something else dirty. Alright, so that's our topping. And after this bakes for 35 minutes, I'm just gonna put this on, put it back in the oven uncovered for an additional 10 minutes. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.